Good afternoon, this is Tanisha LaVerne Grant. I am live at the United Nations with filmmaker Yann Arthus Bertrand, who will be screening this evening Human as the world premiere for what is the 70th anniversary of the UN General Assembly. So talk to me a little bit about the inspiration for this film, Human. I mean, where did it start with you?
How it start? It start when I was doing, it's a long story, but I think I'm an ecologist in the beginning. I'm photographing for a long time, the deforestation, the ice melting and everything. And I think I arrived a little bit to the end of this kind of documentary, and I want to speak to the heart of the people. I think we need more humanity on our life. When I was looking the refugee last week coming in Europe, in Berlin, and I can see these German ladies with a fence says welcome, I think this lady was putting his humanity above all, above his sphere, above his, the economic crisis. I think sometimes we have to be human. And on this movie we have a small black guy living in Kinshasa, 12 years old, is alone, is very poor. And we ask him, what is the sense of life? And the guy says, a sense of life, he says, I must have a mission on the planet. I'm sure I have a mission. I'm sure God have a mission for me, and I have to find it. And this, what he says, is a lesson, After everybody, I think us, we have to think also what is our mission on the planet, how we can improve the world around us. This movie is a little bit about that. It's about to live with your eyes open, look to what is going on around us, and how we can change, how we can try to do something.
With Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement that is happening here in the United States, in your travels, in your development of this film, when you're out of the country, have you seen a show of solidarity for men and women of other countries showing support for the Black Lives Matter movement here in the United States?
I don't see you like a black. I see you like a human. Okay. And you are my sister. That's all.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward.
Sister?
Mwah. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. So when you think about your life, the human experience, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think the thing about humanism and humanity being as important as it is at the moment is 1,000 years ago, you wouldn't have asked anybody that question. 1,000 years ago, we were all so busy being human. We were so busy fulfilling our purpose and our point that there was no need to ask that question. I think we have been removed so far away from what we were physically, emotionally, and mentally designed to do.
Wow.
That it's incredibly important for us to try and redefine what humanity means.
I can accept that.
Oh, good.
So in seeing the film tonight, what is something that you think you may want to see? What do you think the director is trying to show us and tell us with this film?
I think what he's trying to do, I haven't seen it yet, but from everything I've read and everything I've heard, I think what he's trying to do is to show without judgment, to allow polar opposites to state their case and say where they're coming from and why they're doing it and how it feels to be who they are, without saying that's wrong and that's right.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. I'm live at the United Nations with Mr. Richard Curtis.
Are we live?
We are going to be live, yes. With Mr. Richard Curtis, who has brought us films such as Four Weddings and a Funeral in Notting Hill. For those of you who may not know, I'm letting you know now. So talk to me a little bit about tonight's film, Human, that's being screened tonight in such a wonderful space, and what it means, what does humanness mean to you?
It is an amazing film because it's been filmed, I think, in 65 countries, and they did a huge number of interviews, and they have extracted from those interviews raw, simple truth. So pretty well every line in the film is as good as the best line in any film of mine. It's a really amazing study.
Wow. So looking at it, have you seen it yet?
I saw a slightly earlier version of it, on a tiny screen in a very hot little room.
Okay, so when you're looking at a film, that's been shot, interviewing people, So many backgrounds, so many different languages. The aesthetic of this film, what is the one thing that sticks out to you most about it?
Well, it's got these two extraordinary aesthetics. It's an unbelievably brave choice. So there are these amazing slow motion, huge, wide photographs, moving photographs of the planet we live on, and then these completely perfect, tight, single shots of individual humans talking.
Wow.
So it's humans, it's people and planet, people and the planet on which we live.
And that's what it's about.
Yeah,
Our existence.
yeah.
Working in tandem, living together, making this existence work.
And how life is too hard for some people, and how some people can extract joy from hard situations, and how truth is complicated, and how being human is complicated. I mean, it's a film of amazing compassion and breadth and understanding.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. All the best to you.
Thank you very much.
I have with me Miss Larizia Laveau, who just screened this amazing film, Human, by famed photographer and filmmaker Yann Arthus Bertrand. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts about the film and what major moment in the film that kind of struck you and hit you to your core.
Oh, wow, that's a big question. We've been talking a lot about the different moments, and I've been realizing that this is going to stay with me a very long time. There were so many moments that struck me, whether it was something that was humorous or something that wanted to make me cry. I think one of the things, at least in the beginning, the way it started, and maybe because of who I am, was the message of love and what love meant to people, and that shone throughout the film, whether it was talking specifically about love or about the woman who was saying about the SS officer who took her from her mother. That is maybe what stayed with me. And then, of course, the Hispanic gentleman, and I don't remember what country it was from, which was another thing that was great. I didn't necessarily know the country,
Wow, yeah.
and so it didn't matter.
Live at the United Nations post-screening celebration of the film Human. I'm with Mr. Vincent Coyle, who's a lovely actor. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on the film. What was the first thing that resonated with you when that first picture came through?
Oh my Lord, I believe that tonight, after watching it in the first, was here now begins the big conversation that we have to have around the world about reconciling and reconciliation. And for me, that this was the beginning of that conversation tonight. And the cinematographics of Yann is amazing. And just to hear ordinary people talk about their lives in an open and honest way was just breathtaking.
Is there one specific story that stuck out to you?
There was one lady, an elderly black lady, and she says, I would like someone to just swap places with me. Just come to this place, I'll take your place, and you take mine. And that sort of summed it up in many, many ways. And she for me was very, very special lady.
What about a moment that brought an enormous level of joy to you? You're sitting in the theater, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm having a feel-good moment. What was that moment like?
I think it was during some of the filming, the colors. And we saw the people come across the desert with their cattle and their horses. And the way they were following that line, obviously that they were following for many, many centuries. And I thought, this is humanity. This is how it all began, how the great tracks across the world began. And that was a very, very joyful moment, I believe.
Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts about the film here tonight, Sherry.
Well, I was very excited. I was excited not only because of the subject matter of the film, as I have 3 children, and one of my most important efforts was to raise them to be real human beings. And they are, in fact, living their lives in a way that exemplifies that, and I'm very grateful. In addition to that, the fact that they were able to go to all over the world and they were able to touch upon so many different cultures, I think that in itself is very important to see what the lines are that are so thin that bind us all together as human beings. And then the cinematography in terms of the landscape of this world, this earth that we live on, was absolutely breathtaking. I think that it's a movie that I would urge everyone to see, whether it's your thing or not. I think it's a movie that we were discussing whether or not it could be broken up into parts, and I didn't think that it should be broken up, but it's like.
But that's an excellent idea, though. For some, not everyone has the capacity, unfortunately, to sit through a 3-hour film. And if you're going to even teach it on a college level or graduate level, you would have to almost do it that way.
So already we've been throwing around ideas of where it could be shown, where it could be shown in part, and how we can present it to different groups of young people, different groups of people, period.
When I saw it, I was really impressed with the way they dealt with the subjects in general, with like a huge amount of compassion, first of all, a huge amount of understanding, and just seeing people from every single walk of life just completely open up was really, really inspiring in its own way. But yes, as what I was saying to Hannah, I do believe that, for it to hit mainstream, it needs to be segmented in some way, either through social media, through television, something, because it would be a shame for it to just hit like a very liberal political environment and not be exposed to someone else who might be a Donald Trump supporter or something like that. My family's from Haiti, the refugees from Haiti. So there's a big part of that was that affected me very, very much. And I would like for people who possibly support someone like that to see the human side of people who are really just trying to exist and live freely.
Well, there were so many amazing stories, so many layers in the way that Yann told the story. Is there one that I would like to call your gut check?
Right.
Is there one where you were like, oh my goodness, wow?
Aside from the refugee stories, I would say a lot of it had to do with women in general. There were a lot of issues with women who were either in very obvious abusive environments, or women who lived in some sort of systematic oppression where they didn't realize that they were being abused or that they were being taken for granted until they finally broke out. It was refreshing to see a lot of the happiness and the kind of joy and relief when they got themselves out of situations. I really appreciated that. I just don't think that people understand how systematic it is, from slave work to arranged marriage to polygamy. Like, there's so many issues that actually oppress women. It's quite long, and I'm glad that they took a lot of time to investigate that. So.
Okay, so what is one moment where you felt like, you know what, I'm feeling a level of joy here? Because it was, I don't want to say that the movie was dark, because it wasn't, but it dealt with the harsh realities that so many of our brothers and sisters globally, and even here at home, that we have to deal with on a regular day-to-day basis. I know coming up, I freelance. There are days where I don't have $2.75 for the metro, and that's a big deal. And I'm walking through Grand Central, and everybody is swiping with ease, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even have $2.75 to get on the subway, and as the kids say, that's real, so it becomes very real. So when you're watching this film and you're seeing these moments of joy, what was one of those moments for you?
There's that segment about money, like you were just talking about, that one wealthy guy who said that he just doesn't know how to connect to his son. But then you see someone else who says, like, even the poorest people I know are the most generous. There's something about that that's affirming that you can find abundance in your life no matter what is going on. It's a way to, I think, find your empowerment and your place in this earth. And it has nothing to do with money at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
So, great takeaway from the movie. Like, what's that one takeaway for you?
I think that in the beginning of the movie, when the young man talked about how he was brought up, and unfortunately he was incarcerated, but he spoke to the fact that he didn't understand what love was and what love meant, because he had been whipped or beaten by his father as he grew up. That was very touching to me, because of the issue revolving around what happened to African Americans when they came to this country, and the fact that we were whipped and abused by the slave masters, and with that whipping and that abusing, they carried it into their family situations as they were allowed to have them, and it's carried on, I think, until present day. And that's something that really has to be explored properly. You know, where did it start and where does it come from, and how does it affect us now? And so that would be my immediate takeaway.